The wind had stopped whispering. The earth beneath Israel's feet had cracked like dry clay, and the once green fields now shimmered under a merciless sun. Everywhere, people searched the skies for a single cloud, but none came. It was the beginning of a long, silent drought. And it started with one man who dared to speak what God had said. Elijah, the prophet from Tishbe, stood before King Ahab, a ruler whose heart had grown cold toward God. The palace air was thick with perfume and pride. Servants hurried by with golden plates, and the queen Jezebel watched with sharp eyes from her throne. Elijah's robe was plain, dusty from travel, but his voice carried the fire of heaven. He looked at the king and declared, "As the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years except at my word." The hall fell silent. Ahab's jaw tightened. How dare this simple prophet challenge the throne? But Elijah didn't flinch. He wasn't there to please men. He was there to obey God. As he turned and walked away from the palace, Elijah could still feel the tension behind him. The guards gripping their spears, the queen whispering her anger, the king's pride trembling under the weight of truth. Outside the city, the wind howled dry and hot, yet in the quiet of his spirit, Elijah heard another voice, gentle and sure. It was the voice of the Lord. "Leave here, turn eastward and hide by the brook Cherith. You will drink from the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed you there." So Elijah obeyed. He journeyed through rocky paths, past wilting trees and thirsty sheep. The sun burned his neck and dust clung to his sandals, but he did not complain. When God said go, he went. Finally, he reached the brook Cherith, a narrow stream tucked between wild hills. The water sparkled in the sunlight, cool and sweet. Elijah knelt, cupping the water in his hands. It tasted like mercy. He built a small shelter of branches nearby and waited, just as God had said. The next morning, as dawn painted the sky with gold, he heard the flutter of wings. Ravens, black as night, strong and swift, swooped down and dropped bread and meat beside him. Elijah smiled. "You truly keep your word, Lord." Every morning and evening, the ravens came, bringing food from places Elijah could not see. And every day, the brook sang softly beside him, a song of life in the middle of drought. Days turned to weeks. Each evening, Elijah sat by the water and prayed. He thanked God for his faithfulness, for the strength to stand before the king, and for the quiet refuge in this hidden valley. But slowly, he began to notice something change. The sound of the brook, once a cheerful rush, began to fade. The water that had danced over stones now trickled timidly, shrinking with each passing day. Elijah watched as the sun burned hotter, the air grew heavier, and the stream grew thin. He bent down one morning, hoping to drink, but only a few drops touched his lips. For a moment, his heart wavered. Was this the end? Had God forgotten him? He looked up at the dry hills, his throat parched, his shelter surrounded by silence. And then, softly, he remembered. The same God who sent him here would tell him when to move on. Elijah folded his hands and prayed, "Lord, I have trusted you in rain and in drought. Speak again, and I will go." The air was still. The ravens circled once above him, as if waiting too. Then, Deep within his spirit, Elijah heard it, the familiar whisper, the voice of the one who never forgets. Get up, Elijah. Go to Zarephath in the land of Sidon. I have commanded a widow there to supply you with food. Elijah opened his eyes. The brook behind him was silent now, only dry stones where water once danced. He took his staff, gathered his cloak, and turned toward the distant hills. With each step, he carried the memory of the raven's wings and the taste of cool water. He knew now that every ending in God's plan is only the beginning of another miracle. That night, as the stars spread quietly across the desert sky, Elijah walked on, guided only by faith and moonlight. The world around him was dry, but his heart was alive with trust. And far away, in a small town called Zarephath, a widow stirred a nearly empty jar of flour, not knowing that her own story with God was about to begin. When the brook dries, trust the one who made the river. Good night, little one. Remember, even when things seem to end, God is already writing the next chapter of your story.